Hello everybody, welcome back to From Rhythm to Algorithm. We continue on with our derivation, what is sensorality, what is a sensor? So no big analytical steps or conceptualizations at the front of my mind, just progressing through our linguistic steps until we derive a definition, a complete unique sentence or set of syllability, but just something that is complete, that is undeniable, that is proven by linguistics, right? Why do we have censorship with a C and censor with an S? What is this differentiation? We're just developing this self-contained question to completely answer a concept, what is sensorality, and proving it by the letters of what is a sensor. And so we just progress through our linguistic steps. My rights continue to be violated, continuing to ask for a little bit of money to eat properly, to sleep properly, and to work. My life quality remains at 0. Moving along. Sensorality is effectuality. Natural definition, direct iteration. Effectual is effective. Is infection effective? Direct iteration. What is integration to implantation? What is implantation to implementation? Again, we're documenting and discussing and having this conceptual progress paired to linguistics. And at this point, again, we're reducing elementality. This direct iteration of syllability, of symmetry, comes from the spacing from our discrete things producing spacing. Right? When you look at text on a screen and you can see names line up, or you can see direct elementality. Again, just go look at any restaurant menu, any name on a screen, any TV screen. Again, you see that elementality, the physical limits of spacing and of symmetry directly. And so as we progress our conceptualization, that gives us our motivation to iterate this linguistic form to this linguistic form, change this to that. But the fundamental irreducibility of linguistics is, again, the elementality of the letters. And then our numeric, again, quintessentiality is, it is what it is, or it is what it is quintessential, literally 5 essential syllables to have this sensorality, this completeness to derive. Again, we're thinking it's something with this syllability 2, again, 2 syllables. Just moving along. Is appreciation quintessential? Is quintessentiality ubiquitous? That's always this fundamental dichotomy, ubiquity, quintessentiality, essential, required, quintessential, prime example, ubiquitous, everywhere. Is quintessentiality ubiquitous? Sensorality is ubiquitosity. Natural definition, direct iteration. Is velocity ubiquitous? Again, that's our big conceptualization of all things physics. All measurement and logical structure, all language comes from things in motion. Energy, that is movement potential, is derived from the movement itself. So is velocity ubiquitous? If everything is moving, is velocity everywhere? Is sensation ubiquitous? Sensorality is agentiality, generalization of the agency, natural definition, direct iteration. What is agency to sensation? Is sense agentic? Agentiality, or agency generalized, sensuality, our generalization of the word sense. Are diphthongs dichotomistic? If we have 2 letters representing one sound, both vowels independently, and what is a diphthong? Are diphthongs dichotomistic? Is dichotomy quintessential? In this fundamental stability of 2, charge, all mass is a dynamic of charge, density is definite, and in that probing, that interaction is limited physically. So the fundamental stability of 2 physically, again, is just his physical evolution, and then mathematically it's just this irreducibility with this numeric limit of 2. Is dichotomistic probabilistic? Is quintessentiality dichotomistic? What is potentiality to problematicality? Sensorality is a potential problem. Natural definition, direct iteration. Problematic, systematic. is past previous. Derivation is devious. Sensorality is by any means necessary. Natural definition, direct iteration. Words have meaning is meaning physical. Again, logically, historically, the progress of ontology, how mathematicians and physicists talk about the world, they use the term renormalization. I'm not even sure if I'm using it consistently to how they use it, but again, words have meaning outside of one person. If you renormalize something, you're saying this is what this means. If I say a bunch of words and say, I'm renormalizing it, this is a notebook, saying this is a notebook, something everybody can agree on, something physical, right, is a renormalization. A measurement, something that is undeniable. And so, yeah, just is meaning physical, words have meaning. What is physicality to semanticality? Another word for meaning, semantic. Again, one of these expansions. C-man, nice, but is the direct letters of means, and then it tick. Again, we're just demonstrating this chiral manifestation of linguistics. In our progress is really linguistic containment. Are antics physical? Sensorality is demeaning semantics. Natural definition, direct iteration. Demeaning is degrading. Is grading ordinal? What is ordinality to animality? Sensorality is valuability. Natural definition, direct iteration. Wasn't sure what to do with the E. The spelling that I went with is on your screen. Is valuable worthwhile? And what words are naturally generalizable, where we can easily apply ality, and which ones can't, and why? What is valuability to liability? Sensorality is the value of tort. Natural definition, direct iteration. Emphasizing valuability, it doesn't feel like a proper word construction, but the reason I went with this one, again, this E to the A, when do we have the EIA? It's kind of natural, but there's ones that definitely feel wrong. But regardless, the VA and then LUA, ability, it gives the same elementality as liability, I to U. Is energy sensory? Sensorality is sensory energy. Natural definition, direct iteration. Is sensory contemporary? Sensorality is potent movement. Natural definition, direct iteration. Are components potent? Are segments components? What is complacency to complicity? Fundamental theorem of physics, movement is dynamic. Everything is moving. All of our linguistic, logical, and mathematical structure reflects that. Energy, movement, potential, that is derived from momentum. Energy derives from momentum, the actual movement itself. Now introducing this other natural word we have and that we use very naturally, logically, dynamic, right? The word dynamic means movement. Movement is dynamic. Natural definition, direct iteration, right? Equilibrium is dynamic. Is potential dynamic? Is rhythmic dynamic? Is dynamic rhythmic? A system is a dynamic. Natural definition, direct iteration. Right, you'll see that in my original paper. I'll say, a dynamic with two-dimensional components. Just emphasizing, introducing, or pairing movement to dynamic linguistically. Is change dynamic? Contingency is dependency. Natural definition. What is contingency to contiguous? What is dependency to discrepancy? Sensorality is chance. Natural definition, direct iteration. Does chance change? Is chance probabilistic? Is position probabilistic? No, Professor Carroll, it's not. Density is definite. Things are located places. But we have this inherent error, and when you get your conceptualization in the right order, things are moving, energy, potential, movement, or position even, is derived from the thing that's actually moving. That's where the probabilities in where is position, not is the thing actually existing. Again, another direct linguistic is position probabilistic, right? Position is probabilistic, or there's a probability that represents its position, right? It's a direct chronology because your conceptualizations are out of order. Things are definite, things are located places. If you think that you're in a quantum superposition in a many-world Copenhagen triple ADF CFT CDS correspondence cohomology, go ahead and send your entire bank account to me because you're in a many-world. You don't need your bank account. I am a person located in the definitive real world, so go ahead and send your bank account on over to me. Sensorality is chantiality. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is spiel to chance? Is chance special? What is chance to opportunity? What is luck to chance? What is opportunity to probability? Again, right, what is success? It's when opportunity meets preparedness or something. That type of logic, that phrase that always gets thrown out there was in my head when these words popped up. Right, I didn't get lucky. What is chance to luck? I wasn't lucky, I was successful. Oh, it was a mix of luck and chance. It was when the opportunity mixed the preparedness, that's when I met success. That type of bullshit. Fundamental theorem of emotion. Humility is the opposite of arrogance. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is humility to humanity? Is humanity humane? Is profane humane? This is another one where I have labeled a fundamental theorem. I kind of have logic in parentheses, but I might just use this as another labeling. Again, it's not more than a fundamental theorem of something, but it's enough intuition where it's like everything that I put on a screen is a theorem. Every time I have a connection between this word and that word, there are several theorems that are present, and then I put the most poignant or the most articulate one that just like progresses our logic, gives these videos flow. But just fundamental theorems, again, they're not to the level of a given ontology section, a subject, but they're fundamental enough where they're emphasized even, again, in relation to the other ones we put on the screen. But proportionality is appropriality. Again, proportional definitely has mathematical, physical context, but then appropriate, more of an emotional, situational context. So, fundamental theorem, proportionality is appropriate. Natural definition, direct iteration. And you can feel what I'm saying, like, makes sense. It's not like specific enough, right? Is proportion appropriate? Proportions are appropriate. For what? When? It's just, nope, just proportions are appropriate. And then obviously the direct iteration. Sensorality is appropriate. Sensorality is appropriality. Is propriety appropriate? Is propriety property? Sensorality is propriety, property. Natural definition, direct iteration. Is specialty a property? Is sensorality special? Is special essential? Sensorality is special essence. Natural definition, direct iteration. Is amplification escalation? Sensorality is gross. Sensorality is engrossing. Is pressure gross? Direct iteration. Engagement is engrossing. Is language linguistic? Is slang linguistic? So that's what we're getting to yesterday, pretty big, in emphasizing that this whole structure, all of your logic is slang. And just the higher frequency of use words get solidified more readily. Right? Is skibidi toilet going to work its way into fundamental physics? Why not? I'm assuming you said no. Maybe it does. But it's just like everything's just randomly associated, and it's just we have this linguistic conceptual history where like certain words have just been, the frequency of use, the assignment of sound to meaning has been solidified, is definite. And so this whole process, all of language, is slang. Is slang linguistic? Is propriety unique? What is sleek to bleak? Are streaks sleek? Natural definition or direct iteration. Sensorality is the tendency of resistance. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is hindrance to hindsight? What is containment to discreteness? What is containment to uniqueness? What is containment to engagement? Again, specifically containment and uniqueness. It is what it is. Each thing is unique. Clearly, words build on other words. There's like this fundamental stability of 2 numerically, and then we don't have infinitely many long syllable words, right? 7, some sort of relevant limit. But how does uniqueness get contained, right? You yourself, you're a unique individual. You've learned things. You have to study them for a while. Then you never have to think about them again. We went through this whole exact process. All of these video 488, all of these emails, 7 years of derivation, that whole thing went down as speciality, special with an ITY. That's what we're doing again, but how does information get contained, right? It doesn't mean, no matter how rigorous anything is, enough time goes past, you can't imagine caring about your studying from high school. You can't even like imagine doing it. It was valuable when you did it, but it's just like that's how learning works. That's how the universe progresses. How does containment preserve uniqueness? And then again, what we're doing is developing this unique syllability, a definition. What is containment to engagement? Is uniqueness useful? Direct iteration. Deterioration is erosion, emphasizing the E. Sensorality is erosionality. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is erosion to tension? Does definition deteriorate? What is explosion to erosion? Does error erode? Again, emphasizing, sensorality erodes, direct iteration, sensorality is erodality. That OD, right? Sensodality, that OD syllability, erode. Then we just generalize, sensorality is erodality. Because the only form of that is not complete is that R, right? The base E, we've categorized that entire why that's there. OD is kind of like sensodality, that's our linguistic containment of sensorality. What's the relationship of odor and oral? And still, that's not like a direct containment thing. But E, the letter R is what's not complete, then OD, and then ality. Just emphasizing it's directly literal. What is derivation to erosion? What is tribute to tribulation? What is tribulation to vibration? Does mass erode? We have all of these particles, they degrade. Degradation is erosion. But charge is conserved, mass is preserved, emergent properties are preserved. Momentum is preserved because, again, we say inertia, the tendency to stay in motion, but you have resistance. Things tend to decrease in motion. Another big, again, very simple statement, but it's like, well, you go out into space and then you're in using terrible language, a less dense gravitational field, right? There's less viscosity, but you're still, right? You're still moving. You can't not move. Where are we at? Eroding. Does mass erode? Does radiation erode? And so again, we still have this, what waves is the independent discrete mass particles in rhythmic motion? And so there's just mass, right? There's no, what do we do with light and radiation? Again, we'll get there linguistically. But again, still the conceptualization is already resolved. We're just doing a new, complete, entire linguistic derivation of an axiom, which is the most comprehensive thing you could ever do in quote-unquote mathematics, which is in the entirety of logic. Proof is proof. It is what it is. What is a sensor? Show that direct iteration of all of the syllability completely. And we're exhausting, again, the linguistic logic implications. Logical implications. But we have this dichotomy, again, mass and light, matter and light, mass and radiation. Just we have completeness and we have containment, kind of a different thing than you've seen in history. It's like there's a fundamental stability of two, but to be comprehensive, you don't break it down to two things. So we have force and particles. It's like, nope, we have pressure, but it's just like the motivations of physics historically is effectively what people do in mathematics class is finding, again, roots, doing factorization. But there was way more linguistics than you guys could ever keep up with to actually do this. And then on top of that, it's just like, you don't go backwards, you go forwards. You can only move forward, right? We press on. But anything to reduce or derivation, this reduction to a fundamental stability of 2 is like reduction. Moving along, what is radius to radiation? Sensorality is radiality. Natural definition, direct iteration. Is duality radial? Is radial radical? Direct iteration. Sensorality is radicality. Natural definition, direct iteration. Is radical chaotic? Sensorality is chaoticality. Natural definition, direct iteration. Rhythm limits chaos. Is rhythm right? Direct iteration. Is rhythm tight? Tight is narrow. Natural definition. Sensorality is the straight and narrow. The right path is the straight and narrow. Is slight straight? Right? If something is slightly off, is that straight? Is that aligned? Is alignment geometric? Is gesture geometric? Is mechanics analog? And then I just have mass as stabilized charged again. And so then again, we see the same sort of linguistic presentation of something is, it is what it is, something is presented, energy is energy. What is energy? We don't know. So we have Gibbs free energy, we have potential kinetic energy, we have E equals mc squared, we have dark energy. Nope, movement potential. The linguistic proliferation is the evidence, the conceptualization is not understood. And we see the same thing, electrodynamics, right? Movement is dynamic. Electrodynamics, E and M, electro and magnetism, right? Dynamics and mechanics. But just in general, again, mass is stabilized charge. Mass contains charge. So all movement is electrodynamic. Right? You guys are so bad at physics. Holy shit, man. What is chance to charge? Right? Change contains charge. Again, that geometric relationship emphasis. The N contains the shape of the letter R. It's congruent. And then literally physically, again, mass is stabilized charge. Mass can change, but the charge is conserved. And so literally change contains charge. Mass changing contains charge. Not fundamentally changing, but being reordered, reconfigured. Is chance guaranteed? And still overall, we're just developing this right question, and it's reflecting, again, these questions, is 7-11? Is 7-11 even? What is going on there? It's just this fundamental chirality, this inversion logically, and we're pairing that linguistically, which again is, and you have to track and contain that this entire time. And so it's just like, I have, again, still with you seeing and me walking you through every step, there's just like, I've never interacted with somebody or seen the generalized capacity to do a derivation like this ever, anywhere. But moving along, is sensation rhythmic? Is sensation cyclic? Sensorality gets the ball rolling with a step in the right direction. Direct iteration. What is movement to direction? Sensorality is the direction of discretion. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is evaporation to erosion? What is expiration to evaporation? So we continue just to move through linguistic analysis. Again, we just need the conceptualization progress to be enough to have this linguistic reduction. All of the little steps, and again, it just all boils down to one simple conceptualization. It produces letters. The letters themselves have to be consistent. Like you can't break language. So that was another thing I kind of wanted to emphasize. I've said it a bunch, but it's like, again, before 2016, 17, certainly 2017 by then, and nobody's like this sensitive to language. And so people naturally talk about the conceptualizations more or less properly, or at least, again, you can see where people, again, directly don't know things, and there's genuine confusion over here. There's genuine proper understanding, but they might be using the wrong words. But people aren't like floating around in their heads thinking they're gonna like break language. And then I introduced this derivation, which again, before, during, and after watching these videos, you exist in the same world that you've always existed in, right? It's my capacity to break down the language that elicits this logical structure. And so, but now, again, I'm talking about the broader people talking on news stations, podcasters, where people have been aware of this stuff for so long. People at a very natural level think they're gonna like start like messing, like breaking language. And so people started talking slower. You can see their eyes like drifting off. They're like losing, again, the normalization, the renormalization, directly talking about some physical process or thing. And it's just like they present information now in a way where it's like they get like lost in their own heads, and they can feel, again, the contextual implications now that I've pointed this stuff out explicitly. And they think they're gonna like break language now. And it just messes with their natural diction, and it's just atrocious. But you guys are too stupid and heinous to like ever contribute to research, and you're just part of a society that's so pathetic, compete over nothing, play games all day. You guys don't understand the detriments of your behavior and your actions. Doesn't matter, unacceptable. You break the law, you cause a profound amount of death and suffering. Like, this is just the biggest moral failure that could occur. Truly, that could occur. I don't care. I just want my money in the way from all of these weird people. No one gives a shit. My rights continue to be violated. My quality of life is zero. My ability to take care of my health is zero. My ability simply to feel safe, to eat properly, to sleep properly, and to work has never existed, and I have no expectation it ever will. I'm being held against my will in the great jurisdiction of Michael DeWine and our great supreme leader, Donald. I continue to seek asylum simply to do my work, and no one cares. That's what I have for right now. Thank you for watching. See you on the next one.